quiet. It's perfect timing. So I had the best PowerPoint presentation you would have ever seen. So we'll just leave it at that. So I'm going to go off my notes, and fortunately I did print out a presentation here. So instead of sock puppet, which we didn't seem to have one of those either, you're left with me, and hopefully I'll make it jazzy enough to keep you all from a little midday nap. So thank you. I feel kind of like I'm with family. I really, just to say that you're fueling my heart and my soul today to hang out with all of you. I love our organization, but I enjoy our community, and so it means a lot to me to be here and share that with you. So thank you for the invitation. I'm Tamey Baney. I'm the Executive Director of COIC, and my job today is to help you to understand possibly what COIC might be. And so I'll start with, I know your organization, I believe, has been around since around 66 or sometime in the 60s. Maybe that's correct. We are well before that.
1937.
37. Okay, well, you have us beat. So we are 1972. And so while that does seem to me just the other day, it really isn't. And so our Council of Governments, which is this the Intergovernmental Council, has been around since 1972, and it was created by Crook, Deschutes, and Jefferson counties. And so what is a Council of Governments? A Council of Governments is an organization that is meant to come together under an Oregon statute, or ORS 190, which allows local government to partner and to support one another through the ability of that statute. So we represent Crook, Deschutes, Jefferson, the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs. We have a 17-member board, and so every city and county in that area has a seat on our board. So when La Pine became a city in 2006, they were afforded a seat on our board. We also have 5 appointed members, and those memberships are appointed by the Board of Commissioners, 3 by Deschutes, 1 by Crook, 1 by Jefferson, and those represent tourism, recreation, timber and wood products industries, underemployed and unemployed, business and industry, and agriculture and agribusiness. And I'm really pleased to let you know that the agriculture and agribusiness seat for our board has been vacant for a number of years. Alan, who had been chair of the board and had been with COIC for many years, as well as a leader, both as mayor and as county commissioner, can attest to, it's always been difficult, but we have a fully loaded board right now, which is really great. An executive director with 17 board members is really, can be challenging, but ours is super engaged and well informed, and it makes it nice. We have roughly 115 employees, and our budget is just over 28 million. And so what do we do with that? I think the most important thing to say is that we are entirely grant and contract funded. So on your property tax bill, you do not see COIC, and that means that we are really lean and mean with whatever we decide to do. And we are determined, it is that we work on is determined by what it is that the region needs us to be doing. And so for us, I like to think of us as sort of the Swiss Army knife. And so our job is to do what local government maybe can't do on their own, shouldn't do on their own, or doesn't want to do on their own. A perfect example is one of our business lines is transportation and transit. Imagine if each county or if each city decided that they were going to try to stand up transportation services. If you have one organization that's able to do that, you have economies of scale, and it helps with efficiencies and etc. So we want to be responsive to our communities. We, most importantly, want to leverage our resources. We want to squeeze $1 out of every dime. We want to be able to bring together regional scale efficiencies. We want to be collaborative in what it is that we're working on, and we want to deliver high quality services because we are a support to the region. We have 5 core service areas, and imagine, if you will, the PowerPoint just gets super exciting. And so those 5 core service areas, every council of governments across the United States looks different. And so every region of the state is covered by a council of governments. So for us, we operate adult employment and training services through what's called WorkSource. WorkSource is in partnership with the state of Oregon. We also operate youth employment and training, which is now called Compass. We operate youth education programs, and I'll get into that, but we operate high schools, if you will. We also have community and economic development and a loan department. And last but not least, we of course have transportation, which is about 65 to 70% of our budget, and that is Cascades East Transit. In the past, we did operate what was called Cascades East Ride Center, and that was the Medicaid brokerage for individuals that are on the Oregon Health Plan or may have a disability or may need to have transportation services. That contract has gone to another provider that is working in other parts of the state as well. And so for those of you that are wondering why that's left off, it's because we no longer are providing that service. I think it's important to use that as an example because our job is not to do what our 115 staff members want to do. Our role is to do what the region needs us to do. And so if another partner comes into the community, if we are not the most efficient partner, if it just doesn't make sense or it's no longer needed, our role is then to figure out how we, in a meaningful way, dissolve that and move on to addressing and moving our assets, our people, and our creative power into something else. So if we start with adult employment and training, we operate in Bend, Redmond, Madras, Prineville, and Lapine. And then we also have remote opportunities where our staff will take a call and then meet with someone in a community if it happens to be Culver, Metolius, Sisters. And so we do not handle the unemployment side of the WorkSource or WorkShare rather program with the employment department with the state of Oregon. We assist with on-the-job training. We assist with individuals who want to be retrained into maybe a new job. We assist businesses who may need to, and we had this happen during COVID, where they have layoffs at a great level. We go in and we work with the employees. We help to get them retrained into new, we help with resumes, we help with coaching, we help with answering questions. We want to help them get their skills built back up and their confidence, most importantly, and get them back out into the workforce. We also do on-the-job training, where we cover 50% of the employer's cost for the salary or for the hourly for the individuals. And so that is, I would say, an under-tapped resource that we have in the region that we'd love to see a bit more happening. We also have we do computer skills training. And then something that's new and exciting is that we have a mobile training lab where we have computers and we can drive our mobile unit to places such as Deer Ridge for individuals that are reentering our community. And if they don't have a job and a paycheck and a place to live, then we definitely know that recidivism rates will be increased. We have a new program that we're working with the Deschutes County District Attorney's Office, and we're also hoping to help the Sheriff's Office with something similar to be able to do that skills building for individuals who will in fact be returning to community. And so I think that covers adult employment. We then have youth employment and education and training as we have two separate departments, but bringing them together. Our youth program has had remarkable success this year, just especially given COVID. The training portion is that we partner with the Forest Service, we partner with local businesses, we partner with organizations to be able to do projects. And so if you are between 16 and 24 years old, you maybe do not have a GED, you've sort of been a bit left behind, maybe you've made some choices that just have sort of helped you maybe not get to where you'd like to be. We teach the soft skills, the mentoring, the some are taken out into the woods and help to build fence, or maybe they help with tree planting. But alongside that is an employment counselor who's trained on the mentoring, who's trained on youth being able to show up, to be respectful, to know what it means to have a job and hold a job and be accountable. And then we marry that in with our education program, and so we operate high schools in Redmond. We did Prineville until just recently. We just sunsetted the Prineville program this year. Next year they're doubling the capacity for the Youth Compass Crew program though. And so we operate in Lapine, Bend, Redmond, and then remotely for Sisters so students can come into the Redmond, and then virtual for any of the other communities as well. That program we reached the hardest to teach. And so during COVID, we still have a number of students that we can have internet access, but if you don't have broadband access, it won't really matter if you have a hotspot and a laptop. And so we were actually running their studies to them, and at the same time our teachers were recognizing that they had food insecurity in a number of those households as well. And so when you think about us in terms of a program of education, we pride ourselves in being able to meet each student individually where they might be and where their family might be, and being able to get them the resources that they need. Last year we were able to serve, and we work with the school district, so we don't go out and try to drum up students. We have a referral program through the school districts. We are a great deal. We use the ADM, which is the payment for each student, and 20% stays with the school district and 80% is sent to COIC to perform whatever it is that the student needs. Often it's credit recovery to get them back upright and off to their school. Often it's GED, or it could be a diploma. So last year we had 397 students referred for our program, and of that, not with the credit recovery, so a student may just need to have a couple classes and go back, we were able to assist 115 youth in getting their GED and 103 getting a diploma. And so some might say, well, that doesn't seem like a whole lot. If you take that number of students and we think about the possibility that they could have been left behind, for us and for our team, that would be completely unacceptable, and that's where we like to shine, is getting to those students. And so next, and I hope I'm not too, and then the PowerPoint goes, wow, and then we'll move on to community and economic development and loans. Probably our most versatile program that we have. And so we do regional planning and collaboration work. We do a lot of project development. And so our team is trained to be able to assist on convening around challenging community conversations, to be able to, if they're not convening, maybe they're facilitating some conversations. And so a glimpse into some of the projects that we've been working on, and some specific to the Redmond community. We also help with policy development and resource development, and then we do some grant writing, especially for smaller organizations that maybe don't have a grant writer. And so we convene the Central Oregon Area Commission on Transportation, and so that is the table in which the discussions happen around the region of what is needed in terms of infrastructure and transportation investments, and then also helps to guide the Oregon Transportation Commission. We also convene the regional administrators on a quarterly basis, and so you'll be pleased to know that the county administrators and city managers and even representatives from the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs get together and talk about issues of mutual concern. They talk about, sometimes it's an elected body that maybe is, they're just having challenges. Maybe it's a regional issue about the unhoused population that we're currently experiencing all across the area. Maybe it's a transportation project that one of the partners doesn't want to invest in, and they can have a candid conversation about why not. And so for us to be able to bring those leaders together, it helps them to then guide their own elected bodies in terms of knowing what their partners are doing, and sort of just helps us strategize as a region. We also are helping Deschutes County with their natural hazards mitigation program. We are convening and guiding the Deschutes Basin Water Collaborative. I personally have been helping North Unit on some recent conversations about irrigation partnerships, possibly with COID. And so sometimes we fill a space of not necessarily public discussions, of which I do believe wholeheartedly in the transparency of local government being open. But sometimes you need to have a conversation about what is it that we're talking about, and what are the issues, and then what are the options and solutions, and then you sort of prep that for another body to be able to make decisions. We also are the Certified Economic District for the region, and so we work closely with EDCO and a number of our partners to create the comprehensive economic development strategy for the region. And so when you see our partners at EDCO, they have lunches and are talking about regional updates and things such as that, often traded sector. This particular roadmap is talking about childcare, housing, broadband, infrastructure in a really sort of comprehensive way. And then we have, of course, EDCO and our other partners that are on it, OSU, COCC, all helping us to develop these plans. And then it gives us a roadmap for securing funds, aligning our efforts, and being able to achieve success on some of those challenges. We also do a lot of rural capacity and community building, and right now we're working with the community of Redmond on the providers network around childcare. And so not necessarily they're doing the kids program, of which I think that there's some help coming to the Redmond community there too. But for us, it would be working sort of on the ground with the partners themselves and trying to establish what are their needs and barriers. And then housing, probably the place where in my time, having been with COIC since early 2019, an organization that can maybe help to corral the discussions of who's doing what around, whether it's addressing the unhoused populations, whether it's addressing the housing insecurity, or it's really just getting more housing availability. And so we convene and guide what is called Housing for All. It's a 70-member organization that of volunteers, everyone from Bethlehem Inn, which is doing direct service, all the way to Polish Homes or Hayden, who's developer or a private developer. All have a stake in us making this right or not, and so spirited discussion there about what the answers are. We also are, most recently leading a discussion myself with the city of the city of Redmond. We are doing City of Bend as well. City of Redmond and the Deschutes County Commissioners in identifying ways for them to potentially build a continuum of services in the Redmond community to address the unhoused population. And so I'm pleased to say that those conversations, my role was to convene the service partners in the area and determine what the true need is, and then what investments do you need, what have you leveraged so far, not just going straight to the well and saying we need all of this money. And so we were able to secure funding through the American Recovery Act funding last night with the City Council. Deschutes County is assisting both Bethlehem Inn and a variety of other services countywide. City of Redmond has leaned in last night on Bethlehem Inn, Shepherd's House, and Oasis Village, which is put forward with Jericho Road, as well as some safe parking, and happy to talk about the details of some of those. But what it'll do is help with getting some of the vehicles off 17th and get people into some safe parking programs that the church congregation network wants to be doing. And then also building a continuum of services in a rapidly growing community like Redmond, so that individuals have, whether that's low barrier or high barrier shelter, can get themselves in a safe spot to be able to move into possible employment and secured housing. So we're also working with John Stark at Ready, and the question there might be, well, why? Well, the answer is why not? And most importantly, we have individuals that would like to be in the workforce, but if I'm worried about where I'm going to park my vehicle, get my meal, have my family safe, I'm not going to be looking for a job in the same manner. So we're trying to tie that together and be able to bring those services. And hence back to the mobile unit. If we have safe parking where a church has 3 to 5 vehicles and individuals there, we can help them with the skills building, resume building, and help them with the employment opportunities too. Okay, so next we have loans and grants, and I'll be short on this one. It has more detail on the PowerPoint, of which you don't see, but I'm happy to send out. We have 2 different loan products, and through the EDA, and we also have an evolving. So now I've lost my train of thought. So we have a revolving loan fund, the Economic Development Administration, and then we also have the intermediary relending program. I always want to rename that one. So together with those 2, our portfolio, we have $2.7 million still available to lend. So we work closely with our community partners, whether that's our banking industry or the small business development centers, in being able to get those dollars out. We have 174 loans right now, or we have, since the inception of these programs, 174 loans in the Central Oregon region, and that is around 18 million, and it also represents about 1,200 jobs that we were able to assist in getting. Additionally to that, with COVID, we were assisting our partners, which is the cities and counties, in getting the CARES funding out. And so we shifted our team over to a grant funding crew, and we were able to distribute in Deschutes County roughly $7 million to over 950 small businesses in the area. And then last but not least, transportation. So I had some photos of what's on the horizon, but we are the largest transit provider in the state of Oregon that does not have dedicated funding. That means that we are not a transit district, and that makes us very cool and nimble. But it also means that the service that you have today has been braided and blended and patched together with whatever grants or funding has been available. Unbelievable that we've been able to do what we've been able to do so far. As you likely know, there now is a payroll tax that comes to transit enhancement services that goes through the counties and the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs then to us. And so we operate a call and dispatch center over off Antler. Some of you may know that. We also have fixed routes within Bend, and we also anticipate fixed route or a deviated fixed service in 2022 for Redmond, and I'll come back to that. We have the community connector services that are all across Central Oregon to bring, Prineville, Madras, and Culver, Metolius all into Redmond or Bend, and etc. And then we operate the recreational shuttles. That's Mount Bachelor. That's the Ride the River, Lava Butte. We are in discussions about Smith Rock too, to be able to take some of the transit or the transportation challenges there, the parking issues. We also operate rural dial-a-ride both in Bend and in Redmond. Most important is that it is free right now, and anyone, the general public, can ride transit service, the rural dial-a-ride in the Redmond community, which is pretty exciting. I received some numbers, and in 2019, pre-COVID, the Redmond dial-a-ride service was providing 2,276 rides per month in Redmond. And so that's quite a few, and so it's certainly getting utilized. And then something that we also do is that if there's an emergency need, we were supporting the shuttle for the evacuees that were in Redmond through the wildfires for last summer. So we had our team come up and provide shuttles into stores and etc. When we had the wildfire recently over off 17th here in Redmond, we were shuttling some of the unhoused individuals from that area into the shelters and into safety. And so we try to just step in where we're needed to be able to provide those emergency services too. So there will be, right now there is a feasibility study that we've been working on for the last few months. And out of that is showing that there will be 2 new flex service routes that will be implemented. And this will be spring of 2022. And one will be Northwest Redmond, and one is going to be in the southeast area. And then right now I say C-map. So there's the map, and so there will be a stopover at St. Charles as well, and so we want to make sure that we have good access to the airport, COCC, Redmond Proficiency Academy. We are their transit service primarily, so that helps on ridership for them and our students getting in, and so we do that. And then dial-a-ride services will continue to be available similar to what we have today. In Bend, you need to meet certain criteria to take dial-a-ride. In Redmond, you do not. So soon you will have both the deviated service, which is you can call and say, I know the route goes from A to B, but I need you to deviate and go to B and then C. So can you, and as long as it's not too far off the route, then our drivers are allowed to, through dispatch, to go and pick you up, and I think it's a half mile. So anyway, you will still continue to have dial-a-ride as well, which is really cool because you won't have the restrictions that Bend has. And then we anticipate that you at one point will likely have a true fixed route system, but that's obviously further into the future. And so I think the biggest thing to say about Redmond and our services in terms of transit is that our buses are going to get smaller, our services are going to continue to be more nimble, not necessarily Uber-ish, but close, because we recognize that transportation is changing and our needs are changing. We also recognize that a gigantic bus doesn't fit down most of our street network, and so it's just a necessity for us to be thinking differently about how we provide service. So that is COIC, and I would just say that it's been an unbelievable joy to be a part of this organization, primarily because of the talent and heart-driven service people that we have working at this organization. And I encourage you to think about us as a partner. If an issue comes up that you might want to address or that you see isn't being addressed, we can easily come into a space where we bring people together and say, is there something here? We're sort of like Switzerland. We don't have anything at stake other than good governance, making sure that we're maximizing our resources and doing what we can to support the community. So with that, questions? Yes, Carl.
How many physical locations do you have for offices throughout the area?
11. And so we operate out of Primeville, Madras, Redmond. We have 3 in Redmond. We operate out of Bend, and we have a location in Lapine as well. And so then from there, our team will just disperse. And so we have a variety of locations in a few of the communities, which makes it tough when you're trying to bring, one of the things I want to help do is create a culture of cohesiveness among our teams. In the past, they've been relatively sort of disparate in terms of, I'm transit and I'm economic development. They all have a synergy and a brightness to their work together. So hoping that we can tear down a bit of those walls in the future. Yes?
Broadband, internet, there's money coming.
Yes.
Who has the plan? You guys developing the plan?
So we're not developing the plan, but we're making sure that the plan happens.
Okay.
And so we are assisting sisters in particular in Black Butte. There's some dedicated funding and some interest that's been happening in that community. But in terms of a regional plan, that is showing up in what we're calling the Economic Recovery Plan this year. So it's a 5-year plan for broadband and infrastructure. And it's going to help direct what the needs are, what the funding availability is that's known, and then what the gap is for the unknown. And so that is usually the comprehensive economic development strategy. This 5-year will be an economic recovery plan. So big EDCO and we are looking for input on that too. It's right now we have we had 150 priorities in that plan. We've narrowed it to 37, still not achievable. So when we get it into more manageable, clearly broadband and infrastructure is going to be there. We'd love to have your feedback. Yes.
On your loans, who are you loaning to?
So it could be Gap. Well, let's think of businesses. Cowboy Dinner Tree, Strictly Organic Coffee. Panacea. There was a company that was in the Crooked River Ranch area, and so if you are a small business and you maybe are conventional banking, conventional lending is not maybe going to work for you for whatever reason. Our dollars are not meant to be zero risk because of the manner in which we received them. And so we often do gap funding. So maybe you can get conventional lending here, but then you have this gap here. And so we do that. We also do a lot of small business. So I just need equipment. I want to expand. It's really all across the gamut. Our larger loan products, though, they are required to cannot be a certain percentage of the overall project cost, need to either be in a rural area, Redmond would fit, Bend would be out. And so what we often do is sit with the lender, and the lender might say, I've got someone here, but I can't help them get all the way to where they're trying to get to. And so each one is looked at individually in that sort of light.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Two comments. I live in an area where I do not get cell service, and hotspot doesn't even work for me.
Yep.
And so I hope that when some of this money comes through, that our situation will change. My other question is basically, what type of interface do you have with the state? In you obviously, I would presume, shouldn't say that, have money that flows through the state but is there a group of you that meets that are the COICs of the state and such, and what do they how do they interface?
So great question, Linda. And we do not have a state organization for the councils of governments in Oregon, which is sort of an oddity. And so it's something that we on our own have brought, and probably my own background of that network is an important one. I wanted to learn who's doing what and what do they look like, because I know that we all look different. And so we have been meeting twice a year. And it's, we have Metro that shows up, which, folks that know of Metro in Portland, obviously different than us, but they have a lot that we can learn, and they're learning from us on the things that we've been doing too. And so the state of Oregon, the federal government, they are a strong partner for us. In state grants, whether that's being able to do rural capacity building, could be coming through with Business Oregon. It also could be coming through with Ford Family Foundation. We do a lot of work with foundations, Oregon Community Foundation, Meyer Memorial, wherever the dollars are to fit whatever the need is in the community, not our need, the need for the community. And so the state of Oregon is a big partner, transportation, work source. We are in their buildings, so we are hand in hand with the state.
One other quick question.
Yes.
Do you have any role in the water situation at the Wamsworth?
We do not, but we are helping on the commissary that they're building and wanting to strengthen. So we've been helping on grant funding there. We've had times where the state has run dollars through our organization since they're a member, because of capacity challenges that they had, staffing, and then we are the organization that then is accountable to the state for that funding. So we'd never want to say that they are not capable of that, but we all know that when you don't have the staffing to be able to meet all the reporting and accountability requirements, if another organization can come and step in and support you, then that's a role that we play too.
And do you have any problem with there being an Indian nation compared to United States?
No, our biggest piece is making sure that we honor and respect our role and make sure that we are cognizant that we are a partner, and that it's not our job to impose upon what we think should or will happen. So it's a space where we really try to make sure that we are in a place of supporting their efforts and honoring what needs to happen. And outside of that,
Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate you coming out.
yeah, well, thank you for your